Are you ready for me to go through one of your CVs to be able to give you comprehensive feedback on how you can maximize its effectiveness? If so, stick around and let's do this thing today on this episode of Navigating Academia. What's up, Navigating Academia family? This is Dr. J. Phoenix Singh coming at you to be able to give you another episode of Navigating Academia, your leading source for guidance on how to advance your career in academia. Now, today's episode is going to be a continuation of my limited run series where what I've done is I've asked you to be able to send me copies of your CVs or resumes as well as your statements of purpose, i.e. your personal statements, regardless of whether you're applying for graduate school, a postdoc, whether you're applying for a tenure track faculty position, or even an industry-related position. I want to hear from you. You guys have sent me so many amazing documents that I'm so grateful to have the opportunity to go through. Not only to be able to help you one-on-one, but also to be able to use it as a learning exercise for our thousands upon thousands of subscribers here at Navigating Academia. So if you're putting together a document like a CV or a personal statement, make sure that you're watching this entire limited run series. If you really enjoy it, make sure not only to like the video and comment below because it helps the algorithm, but also please consider helping us out a ton by supporting us as an official channel supporter down here on Patreon. It's just a few dollars a month. It helps us out a ton in terms of buying new gear and paying for editing services to be able to max out the quality of our videos. And in addition to that, you get a whole bunch of really fun perks. Everything from exclusive content to the ability to select topics for the live streams that I do. And also you get a personalized shout out from me in one of our future videos and discounts off one-on-one coaching with me. Why is that important? Because this is a limited run series. So when it's over, obviously, I still want to be able to take a look at your documents. So if you'd like for me to do that, to be able to help me help you maximize your chances of getting into grad school or your postdoc position or making sure that you get a tenure track job, just go ahead and contact me via the website below. This is my personal website where you can book a session with me, and it would be a pleasure to talk to you anytime. So without further ado, let's get into today's document. All right, so let's jump right into it. Today's CV comes from Ashak. Here is Ashak's very generous email to me, and then we'll go ahead and get started today. This will give you a little bit of context. Ashak says, "Dear Dr. Singh, my name is Ashak. I really appreciate your efforts to help students and young researchers as well as academic job seekers with your YouTube videos, and now this great gesture of reviewing CVs and personal statements. I'm applying for postdoc positions, but having a hard time finding one." Definitely, Ashak, postdocs, it's even harder to get a postdoc mate than it is to get into grad school. And you know how it is getting into these doctoral programs, especially these days. It's an absolute beast. So respect to you for continuing to keep your eyes open and checking all those online sources that you can think of. Here in the US, I'm a big believer in Chronicle of Higher Education as well as higheredjobs.com. That's actually where I found my dream postdoc way back about, a decade ago. In addition to that, I would say it's always a good idea to be able to let people know in your field, in your department, mentors, colleagues, let them know that you're looking for a postdoc, and this way they can keep their ears open as well. And obviously people like to do business with people that they know, like, and trust. And so because of that, if somebody recommends you, that's a very powerful thing, okay? Now, in terms of taking a look at the CV for a postdoc, obviously there are things that I'm looking for a little bit different than, let's say, somebody who's applying to grad school, because you already have the credential, right? You already have that PhD. And what that means is that I'm expecting this CV to be really even more impressive than it may otherwise be if, let's say, you're, like I said, applying to graduate school. So let's go ahead, let's start here. Let's take a look at the top of the CV. Okay, and then I'm going to zoom out and we'll take a 10,000 foot view, okay? So first, here's Ashak's full name and then PhD after it. I do recommend still, even though everything else is capitalized, to do PhD like this, or even better yet, to be able to just allow it to be PhD like that, okay? And currently postdoctoral fellow at National Center for Biological Sciences. And I redacted information here, but this is an institute that is located in India. And as somebody who's half Indian myself, love all my Indians. And then I do love that in terms of your mobile, and I would remove the word mobile because it sounds a little bit childish, which we don't want. Just say telephone, or you can say phone, okay, would be the way to be able to do it. I do love, though, that you got the country code up here, right at the very beginning. Always have a space after your country code. For example, in the US, it would be +1. Other places in Europe, it could be +44, +41, you name it, okay? So that would be my recommendation there. Now, I did notice that in terms of the email here, you have a Gmail listed. I would not recommend a Gmail, a Yahoo, a Hotmail, and so forth. I would definitely recommend that what you do is that you try to use a .edu email address. If it's something where you are currently a postdoctoral fellow, which I didn't get from your email, but it does seem like that based on this line of the CV, if that is the case, then please use a .edu email address. It looks so much more professional. Now that I've said that, let's go ahead. We're going to zoom out here, okay? And let's just take a look at kind of what we're dealing with, 10,000 foot view. Okay, so one thing that I'm always mentioning in these videos is that we need page numbers. Absolutely critical. If I was walking around 15 CVs and I tripped, these pages went everywhere, there is no way I would be able to link this first page with pages 2 and 3. There's just no way that I could do it, okay? The other thing that I'll say is that it's really important always when I'm taking a look at materials that if there is kind of the heading of a section, like over here, research experience, right? Or over here, technical experience, for example, that if that's ever the case, that it not show up on the final line of a page. And you see here, conferences and workshops attended, that should go at the top of the subsequent page, right? It should not kind of stay down here, okay? So that's what I would say. As you can see, we've got a whole bunch of bullets and we've got sub-bullets as well. If you're ever going to use that kind of a strategy where you've got, like, let's go to page 1. Okay, here's a bullet, and then here we've got bullets and we've got sub-bullets. Little squares and little circles look identical to the untrained eye. Okay, I do not want you using this black little square, okay? Instead, you need to use something different. For example, you could use, for instance, if I end up going here to home, you could always end up using something like an open circle like that. Frankly, anything other than either another black dot or a black square, okay? They just look way too similar, okay? In terms of spacing, we need more space. Okay, my recommendation here is in terms of these pieces of the puzzle to be able to center them, to be able to increase the font size here on your name and decrease the font size of these subsequent pieces. I do recommend removing this line about postdoctoral fellow for 2 reasons. Number 1, you appear to already have it down here. And number 2, notice the discrepancy. Postdoctoral is hyphenated, postdoctoral is not hyphenated. I know that may sound silly, it is incredibly important. What I always say to anyone is that if I get any evidence that people are not paying attention with the little things, I cannot trust them to make sure, I cannot trust that they have actually paid attention to the big things. That's not good, okay? Same thing, for example, here, right, we've got University of Kashmir, right? Location, India, and then the postal code right here. We've got New Delhi, no mention of India. New Delhi, no mention of India, right? So arguably we should include that. Why? Because up here, all of a sudden we've got India again. Same line or same bullet point, nothing in terms of India, right? These things are very important, guys. The more consistency you can get, the better. Okay, and the less consistency you have, you're gonna have a problem. Okay, now we'll keep going through these things in just a moment, right? But first, I just want to make these comments about the spacing. Regardless, the amount of space that is underneath here, right before, like between the word email and then this blue bar, is not equivalent to beneath the blue bar and the word education, okay? This amount of space here is not equal. Now, it looks like this is something you manually put in, so you can always manually adjust it. I'm fine with that, okay? But in between here, we want to make sure that we have space. Okay, and this is just going to make it look a little bit cleaner. Okay, we'll get to everything. Okay. Down here, I see research interests. Arguably, you can delete this. If there's enough space, go ahead and keep it in. If you're going to do that, though, make sure after the backslash you capitalize N here and you capitalize N here. Anything else here? Okay, organoids should not be capitalized, presumably because in no other bullet point do you have a secondary word capitalized, unless brain organoids is a proper noun, which I don't believe it is. You should go ahead and do that. Now, the other thing is that all of this information, this is a lot of things to be interested in. To say that you have 7 research interests arguably is too many. It's too high sensitivity. It's almost like you're interested in a lot, in everything, as it were, depending on how high specificity your field is already. So my ideal here would be for you to take that out and just in your cover letter or whatever the equivalent of your personal statement is for your postdoc application, you can put that in there, right? It doesn't need to be here. And also, obviously, your publications and your conference presentations are going to speak for themselves in terms of the interests that you have, okay? So let's talk about those for a second here. And so we're kind of doing things out of order, but that's okay. So first, let's take a look at publications. First thing that I like is that we have these little stars here. Okay, I'm very confused. Okay, this is equal contribution. And then this is Hussein Kameh. This entire name. This does not make sense. Okay, this does not make sense. First and foremost, these all need to be in some kind of the same format. It is not currently in the same format. I mean, just a tiny example here, whatever. We've got et al. At the end of these. In this one, we have and. In this one, we have and. And in this one, we have nothing before the final one. Here it's the entire name. Here it's last name, comma, first name. Same thing here. Presumably there was a marriage or something like that that happened where there was a name change. Obviously, congratulations if that was the case. I'm not familiar personally with this particular style. For example, like an APA 7th, there would be a space here. Doesn't really matter, though, that I'm not familiar with the style. What matters is that when I take a look at the different pieces here, it seems like there's something wrong because stuff is all over the place. Okay, so like publications, are these journal articles, peer-reviewed journal articles? It seems like this one is, for example, right? Is this, presumably this is a volume number. What was the issue number? Was it on one page? Where are the DOIs? This says equal contribution. I do not understand what that means. Oh, these two equal contribution. Okay, to be honest with you, I would just take that out and remove both stars. This one, let's see. Again, okay, same journal, so I'm gonna have the same questions. Presumably this is a volume number. Is there an issue number? This one, though, has 2 different pages. Obviously, this appears weird to me because this page 101,370. And these are pages 216 to 221. I don't think so, but I'm not sure, right? Then we've got this one, right? Presumably, after a colon, the letter S here should be capitalized. Now, that may not be the case, but it's something to look into in the style, okay? And then after that, right, so this is from an archive, it looks like. I don't know if there's a DOI that's associated with that as well. DOI, if you don't know what that is, that's a digital object identifier. Right? And then we have, these are these are the full names. That should not be the case. And then here, do you notice, again, the capitalization is off. So like here, for example, non-coding, everything is lowercase here. 3, spinocerebellar, lowercase. 2, patients with, lowercase. All of a sudden here, uppercase. Everything is uppercase. Okay, not a good look. That's not a good thing. Okay, and then this says Ranbaxy Science Foundation. That doesn't mean anything to me. Was this a white paper? Was this an internal report? In which case, it's not a peer-reviewed publication. In which case, it should arguably be in its own section. Okay? And then this one says Mapping Mitochondrial Manuscript and Preparations, first author. Okay, my recommendation there, watch the other videos that I've already released in terms of my CV reviews. It cannot be like this. Okay, basically, it's going to have whatever author's on it. You say that you're the first author, wonderful. And anybody else that right now you assume is going to be on there. And then in parenthesis, right, you'll basically say something like in preparation or submitted or under review, so on and so forth, okay? Something like that instead of the date like here in parentheses, all right? And then you'll have the title of it, which presumably will be something like this, okay? And then you can put after it, where are you submitting the thing, okay? That's the key. So let me take a look. I'm just looking to look at the dates. Okay, good. So this is 2019, 2018, 2017. That's great, okay? So that's what I like to see. Here, conferences and workshops attended. Okay, this could be an issue, right? Conferences and workshops. No, we don't really care about that. We care about conference presentations, right? That's really all we care. This suggests that you just went there, but you didn't do anything, right? And going to conferences should not go in a CV. It doesn't make any sense. Maybe if you're applying for grad school, but even then, not really. Okay, so let's take a look here. Presented poster at this location. Do me a favor and just take a look at whatever the system is that you're using for these, be it IEEE, APA, AMA, whatever your field uses, right? There should be a way to be able to cite those things. Maybe this is even it. I'm not sure, right? But that's something that I want you to take a look at, okay? And again, certain things here, like cells here is not capitalized. These tiny things or whatever, they mean something for people, right? Cell here is not capitalized for some reason, because everything else is capitalized, right? Let's see. These tiny things make a really big difference to people. I love that you've got posters. Obviously, if you can get some papers, that would be even better. Again, if you just attended this workshop, it doesn't mean anything unless you got some sort of a certification out of it. So you can remove it and just make it conference presentations. Obviously, remove the bullet here. We don't need it. Okay. Now let's take a look here. Awards and fellowships. So let's see. Okay. Fellowship. Okay. So some of these are admittedly really long, like taking up almost two lines. Pretty long, right? Since it's already taken up so much, you may as well just say government instead of GOVT period. You can just say government for all of those cases. Okay. Let's see. Unless the acronyms mean something to folks, I mean, you can basically just delete any of these. Like, for example, you would also only list them the first time. And ironically, things like MHRD, you don't define, but you define everything after it, right? So, like, we can remove this here. We can remove this here. Like I said, MHRD is never listed, right? So these are just a little bit unclear. Let's see. This one doesn't make sense because it's not clear. Is it an award or a fellowship? It just says graduate aptitude test in engineering. That doesn't mean anything. Is it a fellowship? Is it an award? I have no clue. Okay. In terms of years also, 2009, 2010, 2012. So that was a long time ago to be frank, but it's okay because the PhD took a while. That's all right. Okay. Technical expertise. Okay, technical expertise, I would argue, should come after. The technical expertise and awards, all of that is way less important than the rest of this stuff. Publications should come before conferences. Conferences should come before awards, and awards should come before technical expertise, okay? And all the way at the tippy bottom should be research interest, because arguably that should be removed, right? And that should be self-evident by your publications, conference presentations, letters of recommendation, as well as by your personal statement or cover letter, okay? So, technical expertise. Okay, the number one question I have is, what's up with the order? The order doesn't seem to really mean anything. I get that these are all cell bio stuff. Love me some CRISPR. Cytometry, is that what we were trying to get at or whatever? And then going down to E. but then we've got R, then we've got I, then we're all the way back to B. There's no real reason for this. I got SDS-space page. I don't know what that is. We don't have an Oxford comma. Please, everybody include Oxford commas. Very important. And the software tools. Again, it doesn't allow me to look at it quickly to be able to find something if I wanted to see it, which is not good, right? My recommendation is that, is it possible to include any of this elsewhere here? I'm not sure, right? But that would be my question. Okay, summer trainee. Okay, so let's go back. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to finish it up with just these sections here, okay? So PhD, those 6 years. So jointly from these 2 different locations, okay? So I already mentioned the whole mentioning India thing. Again, my recommendation is to be able to remove the periods here. And this is BSc in something or PhD in something. MSc toxicology, this should be MSc in toxicology, right? But the rest of it you need to put in there, okay? Obviously remove the dot here. Research experience, postdoctoral fellow, during those years, at the location. I don't think that you need postal codes for any of these. They're not going to be writing to them. It's cool. Okay. Same goes for these other ones. I won't mention it again, but you get the idea. Okay, so anything after, so you see how this is bold and then all of a sudden not bold again? You need to do that for these pieces as well. First of all, is it doctor or professor? Right? If it's professor, mean that they're a tenured full professor, make it professor, PROF period, instead of doctor, okay? And that goes, so okay, cool. So I think that you may have checked that already, which is great, good job. Since this is prof that's there, okay. Let me take a look real quick, anything else? Up here, advisors. Okay. So like I said, after any of those colons, we can go ahead and remove those pieces. So here's another example, right? Research project, italicized and within parentheses, a double parentheses, italicized in single parentheses, and here, neither italicized nor in parentheses. That is not good. Go through and standardize it, please. Again, these little things or whatever, like they give me a very negative perception that not enough attention was paid to these things, okay? So, let's take a look here. So I won't comment on that anymore. Major responsibilities. You don't have to say major responsibilities. Also, this says major responsibilities, and then we've got the bullet points. Why is there no major responsibilities here? Why is there no major responsibilities for this one? Why not here? Also, why not here? For these two, why are there no advisors that are listed? I don't understand. For these ones, why is it that there's only one bullet for this whole section? One bullet for this whole section. All of a sudden we go here, multiple bullets for these two, but no bullet here for advisors. Okay, that needs to be standardized as well. So you can tell, guys, before I've even read anything, I already have a negative perception. So this is the important thing. Cognitive priming. Always keep people cognitively primed to think positively about your materials. Okay? All right, let's take a look. This doctor, effective major termination of HPV. Okay, no need for periods at the end of things. Please remove all periods unless there's at least 2 sentences in a row within the same bullet. Okay. Investigated. Okay, could you see? This is good. We got Oxford Common now. It's good. Okay, for this one here, whatever, don't use those hyphens like that. Okay, put them in parentheses like this. This one. I'm not sure in vitro. Oftentimes you have to italicize it. It's Latin. Let's see. Good. Okay, you can remove on and of. Because this is an adjective, it's compound adjective, I think that thin layer may need to be hyphenated there, but you can check on that depending on what your field recommends. Okay? So those are my recommendations for this one. So you guys can tell that when you're looking at it, you got to take the 10,000 foot approach, take a look how everything is kind of structured first. Okay, after you take a look at that, I want you to go in and take a look for any discrepancies in terms of formatting. It is so important. And number 3, read the actual content. Okay, so there are multiple different layers. All right, guys, that's what I got for you today. Hopefully this was instructional for you. This series is coming to an end in terms of me looking at CVs for people. So if you're interested in me going through and giving you comprehensive feedback on yours, please go ahead and book a one-on-one session with me via the website below, and I'll see you there. See you in the next one. Peace out. Thank you so much for stopping by, everyone. It's a pleasure to have you here as always. If you enjoyed this video and you'd like to see more in this series on navigating academia, please click on one of these links over here to be able to view more original content. I hope to see you there.